Welcome back to Forgotten Hollywood. So, CGI has become a sort of main tool in making movies. It's everywhere. And that's a problem. You see, it was once a novelty, and so it looked really cool because they would use it here and there as a sort of special effect. But the saturation of CGI has led to poor quality. Think of it this way. You have a busy McDonald's, and they're selling a few thousand burgers a day. They're not going to take the time to make sure that each patty is aligned, that all the pickles are arranged nicely, that it looks good when it's served. They're not going to care. They're going to slap it together, wrap it up, push it out. But then you have a place like, say, Gordon Ramsay's burger restaurant. They're not slapping anything together. They're going to take the time to make it look good, taste good, be good, or they will get fired. But they only make maybe 100 burgers in a day. Versus McDonald's could make 10 to 20 times that many in the same amount of time. And that's the thing with CGI, is the more you have of it, the lower the quality is going to be. Because people just don't have the time to make sure every little detail looks good. That's also why you have a lot of CGI movies will not have a ton of details. Because they just don't have the time to put it in. You know, they'll skip out on texture and just have the big blocky shapes. Because that's easy. It works and they can do it quickly. I mean, look at the first fully CGI movie was Toy Story. Now, granted, I remember when Toy Story came out, and it looked so cool because everything was 3D and it moved, and it was so awesome to see because before that, everything had been 2D. Everything was flat. But this was 3D and it was CGI and it was so neat and everyone wanted to see this movie because it was a novelty, because it wasn't every single movie out there looking exactly the same. And I should note that if you look at the last several Disney movies, they all have the same look. Disney didn't used to do that. In fact, when they made Sleeping Beauty in 1959, they put effort into making sure that the style looked different than Cinderella and Snow White, because they did not want all of their movies to look the same. They don't really feel that way anymore. But that was the first fully CGI movie. And it opened doors for people to be able to use CGI a lot more in animation. And it had already been incorporated into live action movies long before that. And even animated movies before that. In 1985, with The Black Cauldron, they used CGI for some of the special effects, like bubbling cauldrons. And then in The Great Mouse Detective, a year later, they had an entire battle sequence between the hero, Basil, and Professor Rattigan. So it took 10 years after the first bubbling cauldron to lead to the first fully animated movie. That's just in animation. In 1973, in Westworld, they incorporated CGI into live action sequences, but that was just the first use in a live action sequence. The first use in film, in all film, across the board, was actually in 1958 in Vertigo, when Hitchcock used a special, probably very expensive computer to add these swirls to the eyes in his opening sequence. People don't always count that as the first use of CGI in film because it was just a title sequence, but technically it was. But then we come to today, and CGI has been incorporated more and more and more since Westworld and Toy Story, and it's to the point where my husband will call certain live action movies animated movies because they're predominantly CGI. You have the live action actors standing in front of a green screen and going, and then the finished product, you see them standing on the edge of a crumbling building and they're ducking as a dragon passes overhead or some thing or whatever it is. But they're so oversaturated with CGI that only the people are real. Nearly everything else in the movie is just not even there. And then you've got movies that advertise no CGI, like Oppenheimer. And people were like, how are they gonna do the nuclear explosion without CGI? And I'm like, well, probably the same way they've done every explosion before CGI. The tornado in Wizard of Oz, which was made out of a sock. It's interesting because I've watched a lot of reaction channels and I've watched people watching old movies like Jaws, like Indiana Jones, like Jurassic Park, which I still feel weird calling old when my collection includes the Marx Brothers and Charlie Chaplin. But people watch the practical effects in these movies and they're just totally floored by them and how cool it looks and how great it looks. And then you put CGI in front of them and they're going, looks fake. Well, because it is. The practical effects are physically there, so they look better. I will say, there are films that do CGI right, either because they just use it as a special effect, like in The Black Cauldron, or if they're going to incorporate most of the film with CGI, they do it like James Cameron did with Avatar, and they put the time, effort, and money into making it look really good. McDonald's Gordon Ramsay burger. In summary, CGI is a tool. It's something that can enhance a film very well, but it doesn't need to be everywhere. Think pyrotechnics. You're doing an action movie, the good guys fires a rocket, boom! Bad guys' cars fly to the side. Good use of pyrotechnics. You're at a concert. The song's building up, fire shoots up in front of the stage, the audience is cheering, everything's great. Good use of pyrotechnics. You have a staged production of Paw Patrol and a bunch of people in big dog puppets. Probably not want to use the pyrotechnics there. It's good when it's appropriate. Doesn't need to be everywhere. Thanks for watching. What are your thoughts on CGI versus practical effects? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Click the bell for notifications, and I will catch up with you next time.